Alright, so let's pick up where we left off. When we last left Buck, he was purchased by Perrault and Francois, and he was adjusting to his new life in the Yukon Territory. He had just found himself a place to sleep, showing that he's already adapting quite well to his unfamiliar surroundings. Now, what we didn't get to see was how he adjusts to his new role as a sled dog. Buck had never been worked this hard in his life, but he still managed to get through his day successfully. At first, he's actually surprised that the other sled dogs are giddy and excited about working all day, and he doesn't really realize that this would be normal for them, because this is their natural habitat. He also learns from other dogs that to be well fed means to eat very quickly, and that stealing supplies from the camp or other dogs is one of the many ways that the animals survive up north. So, in short, Buck really isn't having the best time up in the mountains, not like these fellows right here. No, instead, Buck is up there, freezing, hungry, thinking to himself,
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
He starts to feel more animalistic urges and his natural instincts become more refined. Buck has also had a few run-ins with the lead dog, Spitz. Spitz functions as the primary antagonist for the first half of the book. Spitz is wary of how quickly Buck is adjusting to his new life, and he feels threatened that his lead position may be taken away. So that's where we'll pick up, right here, in Chapter 3. The Call of the Wild, Chapter 3. From then on it was war between them. Spitz, as lead dog and acknowledged master of the team, felt his supremacy threatened by this strange Southland dog. And strange Buck was to him, for of the many Southland dogs he had known, not one had shown up worthily in camp and on trail. They were all too soft, dying under the toil, the frost, and starvation. Buck was the exception. He alone endured and prospered, matching the husky in strength, savagery, and cunning. He could bide his time with a patience that was nothing less than primitive. It was inevitable that the clash for leadership should come. Buck wanted it. He wanted it because it was his nature, because he had been gripped tight by that nameless, incomprehensible pride of the trail and trace, that pride which holds dogs in the toil to the last gasp, which lures them to die joyfully in the harness and breaks their hearts if they are cut out of the harness. This was the pride of Dave, his wheel dog, of Sol-leks as he pulled with all his strength, the pride that laid hold of them at break of camp, transforming them from sour and sullen brutes into straining, eager, ambitious creatures, the pride that spurred them on all day and dropped them at pitch of camp at night, letting them fall back onto the gloomy unrest and uncontent. This was the pride that bore up Spitz and made him thrash the sled dogs who blundered and shirked in the traces or hid away at harness-up time in the morning. Likewise, it was this pride that made him fear Buck as a possible lead dog. And this was Buck's pride, too. Alright, so real quick, in Acellus, it leaves out a pretty important part of plot information. So to bridge the gap between that last section and what we're about to read, let me just tell you what goes down. While chilling in camp one night, they see a team of rabbits. So all of the dogs together decide to go hunting for these rabbits. Buck sees one running through a clearing and chases after it, and just when he's about to grab it, he runs head first into Spitz, who is chasing for that same rabbit. Spitz, in a rage, bares his teeth, and that's where we're going to pick up right now. In a flash, Buck knew it. The time had come. It was to the death. As they circled about, snarling, ears laid back, keenly watchful for the advantage, the scene came to Buck with a sense of familiarity. He seemed to remember it all, the white woods, and earth, and moonlight, and the thrill of battle. Over the whiteness and silence brooded a ghostly calm. There was not the faintest whisper of air, nothing moved, not a leaf quivered, the visible breaths of the dogs rising slowly and lingering in the frosty air. They had made short work of the snowshoe rabbit, these dogs that were ill-tamed wolves, and they were now drawn up in an expectant circle. They, too, were silent, their eyes only gleaming and their breaths drifting slowly upward. To Buck, it was nothing new or strange, this scene of old time. It was as though it had always been, the wonted way of things. Spitz was a practiced fighter. From Spitsbergen through the Arctic and across Canada and the Barrens, he had held his own with all manner of dogs and achieved to mastery over them. Bitter rage was his, but never blind rage. In passion to rend and destroy, he never forgot that his enemy was in like passion to rend and destroy. He never rushed till he was prepared to receive a rush, never attacked till he had first defended that attack. In vain, Buck strove to sink his teeth in the neck of the big dog. Wherever his fangs struck for the flesh, they were countered by the fangs of Spitz. Fang clashed fang, and lips were cut and bleeding, but Buck could not penetrate his enemy's guard. Time and time again he tried for the white coat, where life bubbled near to the surface, and each time Spitz slashed him and got away. Then Buck took to rushing. He would drive his shoulder at the shoulder of Spitz, as a ram by which to overthrow him. But instead, Buck's shoulder was slashed down each time as Spitz leaped lightly away.